Hello everybody, Dan here once again at Random Dan 23. And tonight I'd like to talk about one of the other interests discussed in my intro video, and that is movies. Particularly horror movies tonight. And being on the theme of horror movies, I'd like to discuss my favorite horror villain. If anybody might guess who that is, I'll show you in about 2 seconds here. Is the original Man in the White Mask. Oop, totally futzed that up, didn't I? Wrong side. And that is Michael Myers. Can't really see the shirt too well. But Halloween and Michael Myers. And I'd like to discuss why he's my favorite horror villain. If anybody can relate, if he's their favorite horror villain. So let's go back to the beginning, 1978. Very interesting time in the movie industry. There wasn't really established slasher genre, in my opinion, yet. There's a lot of interesting horror movies, but I don't think there was an established horror genre. You know, you had stuff like Last House on the Left, and you had The Hills Have Eyes. Trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head. Can't think of at the moment. But anyways, yeah, I don't think the slasher genre was established yet, and therefore, my phone's going off. Therefore, Halloween was really a monumental film in that era because it really established slashers in the horror movie industry, and Michael Myers was just I don't know what you'd say. He was like the first real maniac, murderer, whatever you want to perceive him as. So yeah, that's one of the reasons Michael's my favorite, because he was one of the first ones. And he really, the way he grew up and what happened when he was a child and murdering his sister Judith and stuff like that. It's really amazing to me how he came to be in the storyline. And it's very creepy the way his mannerisms are and his silence. And who would ever thought Captain Kurt's mask painted white, a set of mechanic overalls, and work boots could be so scary on somebody? I mean, it's really amazing how terrifying Michael Myers' outfit became. Something so simple that anybody could really throw together, and it just became an icon. The white mask and the overalls and the work boots, and of course the weapon of choice, the butcher knife. And I think that's what really does it for me with Michael. He's just very something that somebody could actually do. He's very I guess you could say, I don't know. I don't want to say real life, but I could see somebody doing that, and that's the scary part of the whole thing. And like I said, his silence all the time. I mean, really not having any emotions of any type. I think that's the most terrifying part of Michael Myers to me. And excuse me. I think that's what really makes me scared of him, and really makes him a favorite of mine. And you have Freddy, you have Jason, you have Ghostface. They're like the other big three players in the whole slasher craze. And they're good. They're well and good too. Jason was like second, coming out, Friday the 13th Part 2 came out in 1981, so, because 1980 really didn't count because that was Mrs. Voorhees. So you had Jason came into the picture about 1981, and then after Jason, of course, we had Freddy Krueger, which was 1984, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and then we had Ghostface in 1996. More or less my era, because I remember when Scream came out. And that too was pretty different, pretty monumental. I mean, having a serial killer call you on the phone and taunt you before he murders his victims, different. It was different. And I think that's why Ghostface became so popular, and Wes Craven really had a big hit with Scream due to that. So getting back to Michael Myers, though, I think it's very interesting how over the years the movies panned out and how we have these different timelines. You have Halloween 1, which is, of course, the establishing movie of each timeline. I mean, what would you have if you didn't have Halloween 78? So you have Halloween, then you had Halloween 2, then you had Halloween 3, which I really don't understand, but anyways, it's part of the Halloween series, so we'll mention it. Halloween 3, which was the Season of the Witch. I sort of understand what John Carpenter was doing, trying to get away from the Michael Myers thing and go into other science fiction, weird Halloween murder type thing. Anyways, Halloween 3, not a real big crowd pleaser for me. So then you had Halloween 4, of course, where Michael Myers returned after 10 years, if you follow that timeline. Halloween 5, Halloween 6. Let's see, where do we go after that? Then you had H2O and Resurrection. However, now that's where the timeline starts splitting up, because you have, I guess you would say, the original Halloween line, which would be 1, 2. We'll skip 3 this time. 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. And then you have what I would say is the H2O timeline, which was Halloween 78, Halloween 2, 81. And then you would have had 20 years later, H2O and Resurrection. And then in 2018, we came out with David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, which basically went off of Halloween 78. Then you had Halloween 18, Halloween Kills, which was also set in 18 but came out in 21. And then, of course, Halloween Ends, which was last year, 2022. So, he really spawned, was that 3 different timelines? And you can follow whichever one you want, but I enjoyed all 3 of them, actually. Then you had Rob Zombie, and I really didn't like Rob Zombie's Halloweens. I think the violence and the blood and the guts was really overdone, and to each their own. If you like the Rob Zombie, that's fine. That's your opinion, but I really didn't like the Rob Zombie Halloween 1 and 2. It just, I don't know. I think Michael was blown a bit out of proportion, and I think Dr. Loomis was as well. But you know what I mean? It's all good. It's all good. Malcolm McDowell was a good Dr. Loomis. I'm not going to say he wasn't. Donald Pleasance, of course, is the Dr. Loomis that I always see as Dr. Loomis. So, yeah. So, so I guess you could say there was 4 timelines. 3 originals, and then the Rob Zombie timeline. And David Gordon Green's wasn't on the original series, but anyways, I enjoyed David Gordon Green's trilogy, besides the original set of movies, because I really think Halloween 18 really brought Michael back and really kicked the franchise into gear again, and I really enjoyed that because wow, I just couldn't believe the crowds and the money that drew in Halloween 18. And Michael was pretty badass after being locked away for 40 years. Wow. And the battle between him and Laurie Strode, whew, amazing. Truly amazing. So, yeah, I think David Gordon Green did a little bit better than Rob Zombie. But, we include all of them because they're all part of the series. But, yeah, Michael Myers is my favorite horror icon. And as I explained, that's, different reasons why. And one of the other things I wanted to discuss with Michael and the Halloween series is, where can it go now? After Halloween ends, and I'm assuming most people have seen Halloween Ends, so I'm hoping I'm not going to spoil anything. But Michael really got decimated in Halloween Ends. I don't see him coming back from that. So I think David Gordon Green's series is at rest, and I think Michael is done because Michael is pretty rough and tumble and has gone through a lot. But I don't think he's going to come back from being all bled out by Laurie and her granddaughter, getting throat slit, wrist slit, stabbed in the lungs and the heart, whatever else they did to him in Halloween Ends. I don't think I got most of it, what they did to him. And, well, of course, and then at the end, throwing him into a metal grinder. I don't see Michael coming back from that. Like I said, I've seen him bounce back from quite a few things, but I don't think he's bouncing back from the metal grinder where his body pretty much got mutilated. So anyways, where can Halloween go from here? I think the only way Michael could come back is if we jump back to the H2O timeline. Because if you think about it, like I said, you had 78, Halloween 2, then you had H2O 20 years later, and then we had Resurrection. And okay, so H2O, Michael didn't really die. We found that out in Resurrection. Then he comes back, and in Resurrection, he takes Laurie out. Okay, so you have Laurie gone, and of course he goes back to his house, and they go and have that documentary TV show there with Buster Rhymes and all that, and Michael's very unhappy people are in his house, and he goes on a rampage there. And so at the end of Resurrection, Michael's not dead either, because after the house fire and all that, he wakes up in the morgue and leaves it wide open to interpretation of what's going to happen or what did happen to him. And I think there is where the series can continue, because now remember in H2O, you had Laurie's son, John Tate. And of course, Laurie's code name was Carrie Tate. So you had John Tate in H2O. Now, where did he go? If you go with the whole family thing where Michael is related to Laurie and that's her brother, John is her nephew. John would be his nephew. So, okay, he took Laurie out, but if he wants to take the whole family out, he'd have to go back after John, right? So I think that is where Michael Myers could come back. And I really would like to see that timeline continued, and I would like to see a showdown maybe between John Tate and his uncle Michael. I think that would be pretty badass. That'd be just as badass as Halloween 18 and Laurie, and Halloween Ends with Laurie. But that's what I'd really like to see. And unfortunately, Jamie Lee Curtis says she's done with the series, and to each their own, because, she's been at it for 40 some years, being Laurie Strode and fighting off Michael Myers and living in his shadow and in his post-traumatic attacks of Michael Myers, thing like that, in the series. So yeah, I understand Laurie retiring, Jamie Lee Curtis. That's all well and done. She did a good job in the series, and there'll never be anybody else like her to play Laurie Strode. But I'd really like to see, like I said, I would like to see that continue, like John Tate facing down his Uncle Michael, especially after what happened to Laurie in Resurrection. I mean, Michael murdered John's mother. Clearly, you know what I mean? It's like, Laurie definitely died from that. And so I could see the series continuing with that. Michael coming back after his nephew, and there being a big showdown between his nephew. Maybe his nephew has kids by now. Maybe a Michael goes after his kids, goes after his family, and there's a big showdown with the two of them. I think we could get another movie with Michael out, and I would like to see that. I think that would be a great idea, and I'm not sure why the producers and directors haven't figured that out yet. I don't know if there's copyright or if there's issues with getting who played John? Josh Hartnett back? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there, because the H2O timeline would have been Dimension. Yeah, Dimension videos. Because you had H2O and then you had Resurrection that were both Dimension. So, yeah, maybe there's a problem there. I don't know if they continued with that series. But like I said, the David Gordon Green series is definitely done because Michael ain't bouncing back from that. The original timeline with the Thorn cult and all that, I don't see nothing coming out of that. I really, a tangible storyline coming out of that. So I'm thinking, like I said, I'm thinking the thing with John would be the greatest thing to reincarnate Michael in one form or another. But yeah, that's my favorite horror movie icon, and I'm sure I'll have more videos about Michael Myers and the different movies and what have you. Halloween Ends, I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't all I expected. I'll say that. But, it is what it is. And Michael's, I guess you could say his soul's at rest in that series. I don't know if evil can be at rest, but anyways, that's about all I have on that. If anybody has any familiar opinions or comments or questions on that, I'm pretty educated on Michael Myers, so I could probably tell you quite a bit of trivia about him and all the movies over the years. Like I said, he was always my favorite because he's pretty damn scary and just the quiet, the silent, emotionless personality. Just that's haunts me enough. So, yeah, like I said, he's my favorite, and I know quite a bit of trivia. But yeah, so like I said, Jason was good, Freddy's good, Ghostface is good. I enjoy all their series too. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, all good stuff. And countless other horror movies that ain't even a series. I could go on and on. But anyways, like I said, I wanted to talk about my favorite horror villain and see if anybody had any thoughts or opinions on what I was saying about the new storyline, and maybe if that'll kick off, I don't know. And like I said, I really don't know why anybody in Hollywood hasn't thought of it. But we'll see. Maybe time will tell, and in the future we'll get another Michael Myers showdown with a family member. Excuse me. But anyways, that's about all I have for this video. I appreciate anybody watching. I got some views on my Maverick video and my intro video. I like to clarify in the Maverick video real quick. The hybrid engine is no longer standard, okay? So that was an omission that I'm going to make right here and there. The hybrid engine is no longer standard. It's now optional. The gas engine is standard. The hybrid engine, I believe, is a $1,500 add-on. So just to clarify that. And also, I don't know why when I upload my picture for my thumbnail on YouTube, why I kept getting turned sideways. But I got tired of fighting with it, so I just left it sideways. I figured it's like my name, it's random. So that's why the Maveric's sideways. But anyways, as I said, did a movie video now, and out of all my interests. So we got automotive and we got movies. So we'll see where the next one takes us. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this. And Halloween will be here sooner or later, so it won't be quite the same without Michael Myers, but what are we going to do? I guess David Gordon Green decided it was time to end Michael. But anyways, like I said, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll come back somehow, and we'll have Michael for Halloween again. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Take care.